Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the Kreeger cast. I'm your host, Patrick Kreeger. I'm joined today by Matt.
What's going on?
So, the reason I brought Matt over today was twofold. One, we just wanted to go grab dinner, but Matt, as some of you may know, at least those of you who know us personally, Matt is a bit of a bodybuilder.
No.
And I wanted him to talk with us today about nutrition, how he got into working out, and what his goals are and what he does. So let's start way back. Matt and I used to go to OCC, that's Orange Coast Community College. I believe that's exactly what that acronym stands for, or something like that. Might be Orange Coast College, actually.
OCC, Orange Coast College.
Yeah, there's no community in the name, I don't think.
It's implied.
It is implied. Yeah, as the locals would call it, UCLA, University Conveniently Located on Adams.
Yeah.
Or, what was the other one? UC Costa Mesa.
UC Costa Mesa.
Yeah. Which might actually happen someday, maybe.
You know, I've heard that, but we'll see.
We will. So, our school had one of the best gyms that I had ever seen up until that point.
By far, and to this day,
Seriously.
It's still phenomenal compared to most other gyms I've been to, different UCs and Cal States.
And when we were going there, they gave us access to the gym for, you could go there for a single credit, which at the time was like $24, and you had nearly unlimited access to the gym.
Exactly.
When we first started going there, the gym was open an hour before school and an hour after school, all the days of the week.
Yep.
So it was open from like 6 to like 10 Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends it was open from like 9 to like 9.
Yeah, it was a pretty good spread.
The hours eventually changed.
Yeah, they started dwindling.
Yeah. So there were two classes. There was weight training and there was cardio. And you had to take both of them if you wanted access to both of the rooms.
Yeah, both rooms were connected by like a window or something.
Yeah.
Like a little kiosk in the middle. But two separate doors, two separate rooms.
And they overlooked the football field so you could see people practicing.
Yeah. I didn't see... I don't think I've ever seen a football practice while in either of the rooms.
Oh,
but
I
I
did.
did see people running like the stadium and miscellaneous like field workouts, but never like full on like, you know, guys doing actual football training or anything like that.
I did see football training, but I never saw like skirmish games or anything like that. They were doing things like the thing where they push the
sled.
sled, yeah. So basically it was free reign. It was, you had to go there depending on how many credits you took. You had to sign in for a certain number of hours. And I remember distinctly, even one of our professors said you could just go in and read a book, but you sure better be there. Yeah, he said just sign up, be there, show up, read a book, do your homework. I don't care, but you're going to show up for those hours.
Wow, interesting.
But that was early on.
Was that for the cardio room?
No. No.
Here, go look at these weights, but you don't have to touch them, actually. Just go ahead and read a book. You could be in the squat rack, just as long as you're reading or something. As long as you're there. Just, you know, sign the log, you know, get your hours, get us to sign off at the end of the day, and then boom.
Well, I mean, that's half of working out is just hanging out at the gym.
Okay.
Dear listener, for those of you who cannot tell, Matt is built like a proverbial brick house. And
I appreciate that.
I am not the fittest of people. So, anyway, this was back in the day when I was big in a bad way, and you were rather thinly built.
In high school, I did cross country running and tennis, and so I was a very wiry, 5'8", 120-pound kid, very thin, very, athletic, but not, I wasn't like particularly shredded, but I wasn't built at all. I had, some muscle definition, but I mean, I wasn't like, you didn't look at me and say, "Oh, that dude works out," because I didn't.
No,
I was athletic.
you looked like the stereotypical normal boy, like
Sure.
the way a person should look, healthy and fit.
You know? Yeah.
But yeah, you didn't work out.
Yeah, exactly.
So we used to go to the cardio room and work out in the cardio room together and just kind of keep each other company. And then I started picking up some time with that old football coach. You know,
I know
remember?
what he looks
Yeah.
like, but I don't remember his name.
I don't remember his name either, but I remember introducing you to him and saying like, "Hey, this guy will teach you how to work out." And I don't know if you ever took him up on that offer.
No. I mean, I needed PE credits, right? So how do you get PE credits at OCC? You take the weight room, and well, I mean, I guess you could have taken multiple PE classes, but I elected to do the weight room and the cardio room because I was like, all right,
You know
I've
that?
got credit and I've got experience in cardio, but I wanted to work out. But previous to that, in my senior year of high school. The girlfriend I had at the time was like, hey, I can lift more than you. This is a problem. And I go, yeah, it's probably a problem.
I actually didn't even consider that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it was probably in, I'd say March, April, or, 2010. I was, I got a gym membership, my first gym membership over in, HB, that 24 right there on Main. And
I don't think that's any longer there.
I'm told it is not.
Those were both terrible sentences on both of our parts.
Hey, but so I got a membership, and she was like, "Just go in here and work out." And I go, "Okay." So I did what any gym noob would do, and I pretty much exclusively did upper body stuff as a male, and messed around with like the leg press or whatever. And so I had a little bit of gym knowledge going into freshman year of OCC, and so I elected to do the weight room and the cardio room at OCC.
I think if I remember correctly, by the way, the our weight room at OCC was bragging about having something like $10 million in weights.
I have no idea.
It was either $3 million or $10 million.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of difference in money too. But
Yeah.
when I looked into it, that company,
Yeah.
they don't take orders of less than $2 million.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
It had to have been something.
yeah, they were all American made. They were all nice.
Very nice.
They always had their machines cleaned. They had a woman who would come around and clean it.
Yeah,
Remember
no,
that?
that is
Yeah.
clutch. I can't tell you how many times I like almost throw up walking into most 24-hour fitnesses because it stinks, it's dirty, it's disgusting. But you're not there to smell the roses. You're in there to put in work. So I get by that. I get over it. So.
Have there been any studies done on how much disease is spread through a gym?
Oh yeah, tons of studies, and that's where you're going to get sick. Like it's been documented. Like you will get sick if you go to the gym. You will contract something, the normal flu or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you will get sick if you're a normal gym goer, and it's depressing. It's depressing in that fact. And it's like I'm addicted to getting sick now.
Yeah, but you're a rather healthy fellow.
Yes, I try.
So that's where your career started, at least in terms of working out, was you were cross country at first, and then you started lifting weights at OCC.
Yes.
Where did this come from about you wanting to get, as the youth would say, jacked?
It would probably be at OCC. Well, not probably, definitely. I noticed there were a bunch of athletes in there that were on the wrestling team, the football team, and they were just jacked.
Yeah.
They were shredded. They were swole, however you wanted to put it. They were good-looking dudes. No homo. They were
Not that
built.
there's anything wrong with that.
They were built very well, and they had great muscle definition. And I was like, wow, that looks really good. That's a good looking physique. I started looking up, mildly, looking into, bodybuilding stuff. At the time, that was 2011, 2010. That was an interesting time in bodybuilding in my eyes, looking back at it. A bunch of regime changes, and I guess it would influence. I believe here. What is it? Yeah, I think might have been the first year that Phil Heath won the Olympia, 2011, 2010, somewhere around there. But it sparked my interest because I was looking at all the modern day open Olympia bodybuilders, and my favorite was this guy named Jay Cutler, and not the quarterback. He's a bodybuilder from I think Massachusetts, I believe. But he was like 6'2", and off season he would weigh like 260, 280 pounds. And then competition weight, I think he was like around 245, 250, somewhere around there. He was huge. And I was like, wow, how do you go from, I did research on him, and I was like, how do you go from being a skinny little kid, that did football, but, skinny, like where I came from, but to this just mass monster. And I became infatuated with the sport because it's through determination and your own hard work can you only obtain these, the stature.
Literally, no one can give it to you.
Yeah, and it's not through steroids, right? Steroids just allow you to break, genetic, barriers. A lot of people have this preconceived notation that, steroids will get you just, they do all the work for you. You can take steroids and just, barely lift weights and get huge. You can take steroids, and you will notice improvement if you do moderate amounts of, weightlifting and, the like. But it won't do much for you until you actually put in the work. That's when it starts creating the difference, and that's when you can start, breaking genetic barriers. And I believe people shouldn't take, steroids until they've met that barrier. And it's very hard to obtain. It takes years.
Yeah, this was not an overnight transition on your part.
No, and I've yet to take steroids, but it's I just became infatuated with it. The sport, the grind that these guys go through. It's day in, day out, eat, sleep, train, repeat, and just the dedication that these athletes showed. And then the rewards that they, received from, their accomplishments.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're literally, I think, the strongest person I know.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think so. There was that one guy back in school. Do you remember the man who stood like a whole foot taller than me, who was a football player?
No.
Oh. He used to call me Tiny.
Oh. I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay, well, anyway, he's the only person I think that might be stronger than you that I know.
Okay.
Anyhoozle. So, when you first started working out, was there any particular, task you were wishing to accomplish, or were you going purely for aesthetics, or...
I was kind of blindly hitting the gym in the beginning, especially, when I hit OCC in the beginning. I was just going in there, putting in time, and I didn't, start taking protein shakes or, creatine or BCAAs until I think probably my second year, so my third semester there. I linked up with, can I say his name?
You didn't say anything.
Okay, Kamal. I linked up with Kamal, and he was a cross-country runner. Shredded when he was in high school. We ran together. He was a year or two older than me. And he went from being this skinny little kid, tall but skinny, to this very athletic-looking, very good, amateur bodybuilding, status. And just, he looked great. And all he did was...
He did... Oh.
I was just going to say, all he did was eat, sleep, train, and, work.
He did look like the type of person you would put on a poster.
Yeah, I mean, he was going down that route, and that's something he was, contemplating. You know, a little bit of amateur bodybuilding. He never ended up going through with it because he had to work at his family business. But that gave me the motivation. Like, wow, that transformation is huge.
Yeah.
Like I had only seen the extreme transformations of these very professional bodybuilders at the time, and then I noticed this fairly extreme difference between how he used to look, Kamal, and how he looked currently at the time. And I was like, wow, you did this just by doing this, and this. I could do that.
Yeah, you did spend a ton of time training with him.
Yeah, he. That's when I started working out both at OCC and then got a 24 membership.
That's when you took it seriously.
Yeah, I had the 24 membership, but I didn't go religiously. I used it for the weekends so I can train on the weekends because I didn't feel like driving all the way to school to go to the gym.
Well, not only that, but remember they started cutting hours at OCC.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what they're at now, but there was a point where it was only like 9 to 3 Monday through Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that. I always hit it at lunch because it was low amounts of people. Everyone's out eating lunch, but I could eat lunch before or after, and I was able to get in there, get the machines, get the weights I needed, and get out.
So, bro, how much do you lift?
How?
Yeah.
What? Like how many times a week? How much I lift in a certain weight?
No, I'm curious to do you know where you were at the beginning? Like how much could you bench? How much could you squat? Yada 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 at the beginning versus now. Like, do you happen to know those numbers?
Yeah. I mean, like when I first started, I could barely my form wasn't the best. I had having juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. It hurt my knees. Actually performing a legitimate squat. Astergrass, if you will. Properly with a bar on my back. And so working with that, I was only lifting the bar, and the bar is only 45 pounds. So when I first started, that was a struggle for me. And then I kind of got not turned off by lifting, legs, but it hurt a lot and took a long time to build up that strength to the point where, I was, squatting maybe a 25 on each side. So what is that? 50 plus, 45, 95 pounds, for a couple years. I wasn't trying really hard, throughout OCC. So far as legs, I would do, leg extension, leg curl, calf raise, the, leg press, all those different machines because it was easier on my knees. And, the hamstring curl where you lay flat on the machine, face down, and then you use your legs to curl up, for your hamstrings. That put tremendous stress on my knees. So I used to hate that. So I'd do the one that you sit upright, and then your legs are out in front of you, and then you curl down. That worked better, and that's what I would hit. But my curl was I was using 25s if I was going heavy, and that was a lot of weight. I remember, every week I was like, I need to push 5 pounds heavier on everything. And I remember that distinctly. I would look in the mirror and I go 5 pounds heavier, regardless of how much it hurt. And, now it's, I used to have trouble benching, just the bar. And now I'm, I definitely can, hit, 8 reps at 315 for bench. I could probably hit, 8 reps for, 345 on squats.
That's amazing.
I deadlifts are a little hard for me. Still working on the geometry of it. I can never get those down because it just destroyed my lower back. But at my best, I was doing 405 for 1 RMs for deadlifts, conventional, not sumo. And I don't know, just I've kind of gotten relaxed. I was going real hard last couple years. This last year, or so, I started relaxing because I had goals, right? I had weight goals. So when I was at OCC, I went into OCC at like 125 pounds or something, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna just do this for however long. And then, throughout my 4 years at OCC, I got to 170. I was just doing protein, creatine, BCAAs, pre-workout. Um, but when I got into Cal State Fullerton in 2014, and linked up with my current roommate, he was an avid gym goer. At the time, taught spin and got me into that. But I was at like 170, 175, thereabouts. So in 4 years, I went from 125 to 170, 175 respectively. And I was lean. And I was, everyone was like, wow, how'd you do this? And I was like, just go to the gym, 6 days a week. It's easy. You just do it. And I was just blindly doing it at the time. Throughout my 4 years at Cal State Fullerton, that's when I kicked into overdrive, because then I started setting weight goals. So I was having a real hard time breaking out of the 170, 175 weight window. And so I was like, well, how do I get heavier? I started, upping my meals from 3 meals a day to 4 to 5 to 6 to eventually 8 meals a day, doing full bodybuilding, regimes where I did, either weights or cardio in the morning, and then, weights or cardio, whatever I did, do the opposite of, at night. And, eating all these meals, sleeping at least 6 hours a day, which was hard to do because I don't get that much sleep.
I swear you never sleep.
Yeah. But I was just having the hardest time. So I was doing research, and I noticed that, there's this company called Blackstone Labs, and they have, they offer these supplements called pro hormones. And what they are is essentially a steroid, but it's 100% legal, and you can take it because as it stands in your body, like outside of your body, it's completely legal. It's not a steroid. You take it in your body, and then there's a conversion rate that occurs, and it turns into what your body recognizes as a steroid. But there's a conversion rate, so it breaks down. There's never going to be 100% conversion rate. There's going to be some loss within that conversion that goes on. And so with good, it all depends on the batch. Sometimes you never know what you're going to get, because it's all depending on the batch you get. So I started taking that, and then first I started taking natural test booster, which is like what is it, Tribulus, and so that's just some random, it's not some random, it's a it's herbal, right? It's derived from some root, the Tribulus root.
I have to tell you that like 90% of these workout supplements have the most ridiculous names.
Oh,
I know they come from somewhere, but they sound ridiculous.
Oh yeah, they're gnarly. But so I started taking these natural test boosters first in like 2014, and I bumped up from 170 to 175 to like around 180. And I was like, oh, sick. And then I hit that plateau again. I was like, how do I break this? I want to get to 200. Everyone told me, Matt, you're 5'8". You're never going to get to 200 unless you take hardcore steroids. I was like, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me I can't do something. How evil is that? You can't tell me what I can and can't do. No, it's just, they just doubted it. I'm like, get out of here. That's negative. That's negative vibes I don't need. So then I found Blackstone, right? And then that's when I started taking their pro hormones. And it's 100% legal to this day, 100% totally fine. There are specific things you need to do, and things you need to take in order to run them efficiently and safely. Since it's a pill format, it's going to be a little bit more toxic on your liver than not. So you got to take a gear support, which is a bunch of milk thistle. That's good for your liver. I elected to take an estrogen blocker, even though they're normal testosterone prohormone chosen one doesn't convert to estrogen. It doesn't aromatize. I still elected to get the estrogen blocker just to be as dry as possible. That's when I bumped to 200.
That's when you started noticing gains.
Oh, all kinds of gains, all kinds. And and then I was like, all right, got to 200. I'm eating a lot. I hate eating. This is so much food. I started hating food, and no matter what food it was, I hated it. I was just tired with the act of putting food in my mouth and chewing and swallowing.
And that's when you went on a pure liquid diet of Soylent.
Yes, Soylent. That's the key to get to whichever weight your goal is. No matter what, it'll get you there. No,
that's incredibly sarcastic, viewer.
But yeah, and then I started just cranking down at the gym, and I was I didn't focus on at the time 5 pounds heavier, 5 pounds heavier. That was a strictly like OCC era kind of thought process I had. And it got me incredibly strong, but not huge, just strong. And it put on a good amount of mass, but not too much. Then I started getting into the pro hormones, and I dialed back my eating. And then I set a goal, 220, and everyone's like, "Dude, I don't know how you got to 200, but you're never gonna get to 220." And I was like, "Guys, who are you people? Get out of here!" No, I don't need that. And I got to 222. And everyone was like, What? You're not taking steroids. No, I'm taking these pro hormones. It's 100% legal. It's conversion rate. I could get 75% of it. I could get 30%. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get some boost of anabolic. But it's not a steroid. A true steroid, you'll get 100% of what you're putting into your body via syringe. If you're taking good stuff. None of this Chinese stuff that you'll get for cheap. You got to go American.
So are you willing to talk about the darker side of weightlifting and bodybuilding?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I hate when people say, "Oh, I'm 100% natty," 100% natural. When people claim that, when they're so clearly on, stuff like HGH and, clenbuterol and all this other, all these other, steroids and, supplements that are not naturally, occurring. Like the Tribulus, that's a naturally occurring, testosterone booster. They sell it in every GNC NutriShop you can find across the country. 100% legal. These pro hormones, you can't really find in too many, supplement shops. I don't know about GNC. I definitely know not NutriShop, but you can get it at a wholesale nutrition. And they, at least back when I used to go to those kinds of places, I haven't gone in over a year or two, sell them. And
I would have figured NutriShop of all places would sell it.
NutriShop likes to sell in-house brands only.
Seriously?
Yeah, they stick to the brands that they supply. GNC supplies a whole lot more variety, and so is like a vitamin shop. They all, will carry a bunch of brands, and I noticed NutriShop has the lowest amount of brands.
My few experiences with NutriShop were the people being confused.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the staff was always very friendly, but very confused.
Yeah, I met a good staffer at NutriShop when I went, and he was helping me on my goals. He personally took steroids, but he was like, "All right, if you need to, based on your goals, like this is what you're gonna want to take, blah blah blah." Like so far as protein stuff, he's like, "Don't mess with that mass, like super, mass. What do they call it?
Mass monster."
Yeah, no, they called it like epic mass or like just like a
planetary mass.
Planetary mass, yeah. No, it's just a lot of calories and a lot of protein in this specific protein powder. Don't mess with that. You don't need that. You want to be lean. You want to gain the mass naturally. And not naturally, but like it's different. You don't want to just put on fat. It is necessary to a point, but you don't want to put on needless fat.
So, listeners, I'm about to give you a freebie. One thing that desperately bothers me is that there is no plant-based protein powder called No Way. It bothers me that no one's using that pun. So, someone, fix this situation. No Way must be a product. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going right now, but I mean, yeah, I got to 220, and then, it was a feat, and I was stoked. But I was eating all the time. I was training very hard. I was doing a lot of hypertrophy workouts.
What does that mean?
I dropped my cardio. Basically, hypertrophy is your how do I explain this? I'm not the best with this. It's low rest between between your sets, and I would explain it as high weight, high volume. Basically, as much weight and volume as you can handle. Like as much weight. God.
High weight, low rep?
No. I would explain it as the way I did it was it's not your max weight. You're not like, let's say a bench. You warm up with 135, then you put on another 25 on each side, and then it's 185. You bump up to 225, and then let's say you do your working set at 225, somewhere around there. And then, but your max being like 250 or something like that. You work, you go with a little bit less weight, but you max out as many reps as you can, and then you swap out, with like, let's say a gym partner, gym buddy, and then he does his set, then you immediately go into yours, and you just try to fatigue the muscle as hard as you can. That grows a lot of mass if you can feed your muscles.
So, what do you think about the more like trendy things like the CrossFit and the spin and the hot yogas and whatnot?
I don't know anything about hot yoga. I don't mess with that. I've never done it. I probably should because I understand that it gives you incredible flexibility. With CrossFit, I know that a lot of veterans and special forces guys, a lot of dudes do the CrossFit thing. I'm not a huge fan on it because I've seen so many bad instructors out there telling these people what to do, and bad instructor as in you're misinformed as to how to do the actual lift per se, like these how do they call, I forgot what they call their little pull-ups. It's violent. These people are doing violent moves, which are...
Oh, yeah, I've seen that jerky motion that they do.
It's very... It brings... Like, it increases your potential of injury tenfold, right? So, if you're not doing it 100% accurately, and I can't find anyone that does it 100% accurately except for some of these very tier 1, if you want to call them that, CrossFitters. And so you see a lot of tendonitis, you see a lot of strained muscles, and a lot of injuries with this sport, in specific with CrossFit.
Huh. You would always think that CrossFit is like a safe alternative, but I guess not.
No, I definitely don't have that connotation. I think that CrossFit's very dangerous. It's high speed, and
high risk.
High speed, high risk. It's I won't do it because I know I can't perform these moves, perfectly. Yeah, flawlessly, and I won't take the risk of doing them, not perfectly.
So what about spin classes?
I love spin.
What is spin?
Spin is a bunch of stationary bikes in a room and an instructor on a podium, and the lights go down and you start doing they blast whatever music that instructor wants to blast, and you do specific training intervals with a stationary bike where you can add or take off resistance.
Okay. So what's your opinion on it?
Love it. If I had a stationary bike at my house, I would do it every day. I had a spin membership for the longest time over at Grit Cycle in Costa Mesa,
Mm-hmm.
and it was some of the funnest workouts I've ever done. And because they incorporate weights in it, so they have, at Grit Cycle at the time they had 2 pound dumbbells, 4 pound, 1 pound, 2 pound, I think 3 pound and 4 pounds. And being the only guy that was in the class at any given time, I was like, oh, I'm going to do 4 pounds. This is nothing. 4 pounds, I can spin that in my fingers. A little 4 pound dumbbell.
But the number of reps.
Coming out of, a bodybuilding, world, I was like, this is nothing. I was taking the spin. I had great endurance at the time. It was a crazy good workout. But then when you get to the weight portion, which was usually around the third quarter of the workout, towards the end, you do you're spinning, you're still moving your feet, you're doing all, to a cadence, and then you're lifting these weights in, great ways. It's like, I can't even explain it, in very, very athletic, ways, doing various exercises with these weights, and it's a complete trip. It's so crazy. You wouldn't think that 4 pounds would kill you, but it killed me, destroyed me, made every workout just insane. I got shredded when I was in spin.
So what you're saying is, to our listeners out there, dear listener, if you were considering CrossFit, don't, and find a spin class?
If I was telling someone, it would depend on what their goal was, but
Typically,
I would say go to a gym and then get a spin membership, spin, studio membership, and do the spin a couple times a week, and do weight training the other days of the week. And you will get shredded, you will get strong, you will look great. It is by far. And then, most of the women that did spin also do yoga or Pilates.
yeah.
And so that's great if you want to be flexible and healthy. Not goals of mine. Don't want to be flexible or healthy. So no, I just don't have the time, or monetary funds to apply to all these different gyms anymore. So I go to 24. I would love to pick up another spin membership, but at the time I knew people that, did the classes at the studio. I had friends, and a boss. Well, currently, multiple people at my current work go to that spin studio.
Well, 24 offers bike classes. Are they like...
They do. It's.
Is it not nearly the same?
No. It's not nearly the same there. My roommate at the time, when he was a spin instructor at Cal State Fullerton, his classes were great. They were better than any 24 spin class I've taken, but it still just doesn't compare to something that a small studio can perform, and especially Grit Cycle. Great place.
What about the 24 over in Newport with a little black room of just spin cycles?
Well, I mean, it's still it's all depending on the instructor and the vibe. So Will is a great instructor because he played music I liked. Right? He for the spin class he put classic rock to metal, and that was great. I'm not a big hip hop rap kind of like modern music guy, but Grit Cycle, some of the instructors played that stuff, and it worked because of the beat and the cadence. And that's the whole thing with spin. It's this whole cadence that you're doing with the different exercises you're doing at the time, in that class, and it's no one compares. Not one studio compares. Grit Cycle is what you're gonna want. So wherever you're located, move to Southern California and go to Grit Cycle.
Well, I think Grit is a chain.
Yeah, I know there's one in Long Beach. I know there's one in Monarch Beach. I know there's one in Costa Mesa, and I know there's one in Anaheim Hills.
You made that place up. Monarch Beach doesn't exist.
That's what I'm told.
I'm just kidding. I just have never heard of it before.
I've never been either. But, I'm told there are Grit Cycles at all these locations. I've only been to the one in Costa Mesa, and I can tell you this much: if I could afford it, it's a little steep for me now because I'm no longer a student, and I'm no longer getting free classes because at the time I was getting some free classes from the spin instructor at the time. But it's well worth the money. My current situation right now, I'm not, I would like to do it, but I'm not going to until I can. But when I can, I will.
I think that makes sense. So, we talked a little bit about what got you into working out. We talked about what type of workouts you recommend. We talked about steroids, which was the big bugaboo in the room. Let's talk about diet.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, like, there's all those memes that's like, oh, okay, gym's only like 30%, 10%, 40%, 50% of, the whole realm of fitness, and, the other percentage of however you want to cut it is diet. I think it's 100 and 100. You have to be...
You can't have one without the other.
You can't have one without the other. You can... Okay, well...
Even if
on steroids, you can get away with, if you're on specific steroids, you can get away with eating some higher calorie diets and still staying shredded.
Even if you cardio your way out of a huge calorie thing, it's got to be bad for your body regardless. The huge amounts of fats and sugars and whatnots.
Depending on what kind of workout you're doing, yeah. If you're like a high cardio person, you're going to want that calorie intake.
But you still don't want it in the form of sugar.
No, you don't want it in sugar. You want it in carbohydrates and complex carbs. But it all depends on your goal. But ideally, you should be, everyone should be eating as healthy as they, can afford. And
that is an unfortunate part of it.
Yeah, it is expensive to eat healthy. A lot of people say, oh, there's all these budget options, but it's expensive when you cut it down. It's expensive to eat very, very well, and then there's also
consuming.
And there's dietary restrictions. I just found out that I can't drink milk anymore. I mean, that's not just going into dietary things. Like I used to drink milk with all my protein shakes.
Yeah, it's a great base.
It made it taste so much better. It just really brought out the flavors for whatever reason, and it adds protein. But now, like, I started getting really violently sick whenever I'd have it, and then I switched to water, and I haven't looked back. I can have cheese, I can have ice cream,
processed milk.
Yeah, I just can't drink milk straight up. But getting into the dietary restrictions, some people can't have nuts, right? So okay, that's a form of protein that's it's just off the table now. Some people can't tolerate certain things. Some people can't have red meat. Red meat's a great source of protein and creatine. It's got naturally occurring creatine in it. And
there's vegans and vegetarians.
Vegans and vegetarians, and
people who keep kosher.
Yeah, kosher, and pescatarians. Pescatarians is great, because that's a real lean source of protein, fish, and you get your omega-3s and all that. But there are many things that go into diets that some people just can't have because their body doesn't cooperate with it. And it's tough. And a lot of these high-end bodybuilders, I don't care what you say, a vegan bodybuilder can never stack up to someone that's going to be eating red meat.
So you think Vegan Gains is lying?
Vegan Gains is lying to a point and to an extent. People can get shredded. People can get bigger than they are at currently if they eat vegan and work out very, very intensely. But you're not going to get as big unless you eat a lot of chicken and beef and, then take a high amount of protein.
Okay.
Not all proteins created equal.
Yeah. So, speaking of proteins, recommendations on how to get complete proteins.
Depends on the brand. There are a bunch of...
I wasn't talking about protein powders, but we could do that.
Well, okay.
Just talking about what sort of variety of things should you consider eating?
Well, the baseline is, everyone here is like, bodybuilders will eat, chicken, rice, veggies, fish, rice, veggies. I've heard a lot of the high-end guys talk about, like, I like a third of my plate carbs, I like a third of my plate, like, let's say fruit or something, and then a third of my plate protein. And that's kind of something I've been trying to keep to. Try to keep everything balanced that way. I like white rice. I can't do brown rice. I can't do it. It just tastes disgusting. I want to kill myself every time I have it. So I've had it like a million times, and every time I want to die. So I go white rice, and I don't care who you are. White rice tastes better. I don't care.
Depends.
I don't care what your taste buds say. You're wrong. White rice is the best rice.
White rice, when it's mixed with something,
White,
is better than brown rice mixed with something.
white rice alone is better than brown rice mixed with anything.
No, you don't want to mix brown rice. See, that's the thing. You want to keep the brown rice separate. Maybe put a little butter on it.
I don't know. I've never had brown rice taste good. It's just not a fan of mine. Anyway, I like white rice. But, complete chains of amino acids you'll get, from like, rice and beans. You'll get, there are different combinations of foods that'll give you these complete chains, and that's what you're going to want.
Well, that's what I was hoping you would list, because I only know 2 foods that have them just inherently, and they are human breast milk, which you're not going to consume.
Unless you're going for gold.
And then, oddly enough, get this, pine pollen.
Yeah, I've heard that. They offer that at this place I went to for lunch today.
Seriously?
Jan's Health Bar. They offer pine pollen. They offer, what is it, chick seeds or chick, they offer all kinds of these crazy things. Like, you wouldn't think are like high protein, items.
Pine pollen is like the food, man.
Yeah.
It's high protein, high vitamins. And it's a complete substitute for flour.
Yeah, and it's extremely expensive.
Yeah, do you know how you have to harvest it?
I wouldn't even begin to try to explain that.
So it's only available 2 days a year. So let's just start with that. It's only available 2 days for a year. And if you've ever looked at a pine tree, it's only comes from the male pine cones.
Okay.
And so it's the little tiny fuzzy pine cones.
Mm-hmm.
You have to harvest all of those by hand off of a pine tree within 2 days.
Jeez.
And because any earlier and it's no good, and any later and it's gone, doing its pollination thing.
Crazy.
And you cut these things off and you put them in a sack for those 2 days so they open up, shake it off, filter it, and then you have your pine pollen.
Wow.
It's exceedingly labor intensive, which is actually, I was surprised that you could find it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a complete food, and it's fantastic, apparently.
Well, Jan's Health Bar is a very expensive, high-end, healthy place to eat in Costa Mesa, Newport area.
And I want to go.
Oh, dude, blow your mind. Great food. Amazing food. They got great acai bowls, which I typically get. Today I elected to get a protein bowl. Just sandwiches, soups. I got great stuff for you.
Dear listener, Matt is poking fun at the fact that I would say about half of the things I eat are soup or soup adjacent.
I would say more than that lately, but
not lately.
Lately,
but about a couple weeks ago, yeah.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, there was about a week I lived on soup alone.
And not out of necessity either, man. It was just something you did because you liked it.
Soup is super.
I don't agree.
So, okay, what other combinations other than rice and beans? Because I think most people know the rice and beans thing.
Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but they're out there. It's easily readily available, this information.
Just
online.
know that you can't get complete proteins from any one food.
Exactly.
Other than the 2 we listed, which are weird.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main takeaway I want the listener to get.
Yeah, it's very hard. Very hard.
So, okay, we talked about complete proteins in diet. Let's talk about protein powders a little bit.
Okay.
So, how are protein powders made? What are they made of? And why?
I can't even begin to describe that, but I can.
Why should someone consider taking one?
It's great supplement. It's a great supplement to your diet, right? And I use that term explicitly, as in it's only to supplement, not to in place of.
Yeah.
You should eat, as Rich Piana says, real foods as much as said. Rest in peace, brother. As much real food as possible. Yams, squash, all that. Real foods. Meats. actual food as opposed
Soup.
to no. Soup is not food. Soup is liquid joke. It is hot, it's cold, it's weird, it's not, it's just it's good for if it's cold outside. I'll eat soup when it's cold. My mom just gave me matzo ball soup.
It's fantastic stuff.
She just hooked it up with some leftovers she had, and so I'll take that home. No problem. I'll eat that all day.
I made you soup last time you were here.
It was not soup.
It was stew.
It was stew, and it was dank. But protein powders.
Yes.
It's it's a great supplement to your diet.
Okay, so
sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah,
I
go
like
for
to
it.
think of everything diet related and exercise as in a work site. So you're building a house. The house is your body, right? You need material to build that house. What's that material? It's going to be in the form of foods and supplement. Without any food or supplement, you're just kind of gathering sticks and twigs and whatnot, and you're building a shelter. It's doable, but you need.
you're not going to thrive.
You're not going to thrive. You're not going to create anything substantial. So you're going to want the works. You can't just go to the work site and then wait there until the supplies get there. You need them there so you can start. And then when you start working, then building the house, that's exercise. When you're building the house, that's exercise. The supplies are going to be the food and the supplements you take. I like to think of real foods as the base, the foundation of a house, and then protein powder as, being able to, let's say you run out of, supplies to build the house that day, but you have extra time. You can get this wall finished. You can get, that window placed. You can put in that fireplace. You can, construct that, that lawn or however. Just, miscellaneous things.
The gingerbread.
Sure. You can. It's great supplement if you are lacking protein, carbs, what have you, whatever you're putting into that shake. I love protein shakes.
It tastes good when you make them right.
It tastes good when you make them right. I only get a couple different brands because I've noticed that these brands are the best in what they do. I prefer isolate proteins because they're the most raw, most pure protein you can get. And they also taste amazing. There are a lot of protein powders out there that you can just waste your money on, and it'll give you protein, but it'll also give you tons of sugars and tons of carbs. And I'm not looking for carbs or sugars. I'm looking for a low carb, no sugar protein. That's isolate whey.
Even I, as someone who doesn't work out, but I did for a while, noticed the difference between just your generic store brand protein powder and buying a protein powder that was more, for lack of a better term, scientifically designed.
I mean, there are a couple, I don't want to name drop.
No, do name drop.
Well,
we're not sponsored. So.
Yeah. Well, I like animal protein. It's great tasting. It's real high quality protein, whey protein. I will also take, what is it called? All Max Nutrition. Their isolate protein. I forgot what it's called, but it's from All Max. That's the brand. Their isolate protein is real good. They got tons of flavors. All Max is a great brand. They make great BCAAs. They make great everything I've tried from them. They really are a great supplement brand. And it's expensive. The higher end proteins are going to be expensive. You're going to be paying like $40 for 2 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. And back in the day when I went to NutriShop, it was $35 dollars for 7 pounds. Of the cheapo protein I was getting from them. But that was good protein as well.
I was gonna say that stuff from Nutri-Shop came
That
in
red tub.
Came in the giant red tubs.
Yeah. 5 or 7 pounds or something like that.
Something like that. But what I wanted to ask you about that in particular, because maybe it was just me not knowing, maybe it was me noticing. I noticed I healed a little faster when I was taking it.
Yeah, 100%. Taking protein post-workout within they say the 30-minute anabolic window, you can wait up an hour or so.
I meant like cuts.
Well, I'm
cuts
saying,
and scrapes.
Oh, I don't know about that. Oh, maybe to a lesser extent, but when you work out, you're stressing the muscle. You're ripping muscle fibers. The goal is to rip the muscle fibers, so when you heal it with food, protein supplements, it grows to that swollen state, right? So you're always, let's say your goal is to get bigger. You want to rip as many muscle fibers as possible. Lifting heavy weight will do that. And then let's say when you feel sore, that's when you know you've ripped those muscle fibers. That's when you know you've had an efficient workout and you need to fuel your body. So you fuel your body with protein, and that will build the muscle up and get you bigger, stronger, lighter, faster. I don't know. If you have flyers, run faster, jump higher.
So, we covered protein, covered workouts. Now, let's talk about the future. Where do you see yourself going?
To be honest, I don't know. I people said I couldn't be, I couldn't get to 200. People said I couldn't get to 220. I did both of those things.
Are you shooting for cloud status?
Oh God, no. No, I noticed at 220 it was very hard to move. I was losing mobility. I was stretching, and I was, if I took yoga and stuff, and I could definitely get that mobility. But my body definitely likes, right now I'm at 210.
I was gonna say you seem more comfortable than like 3 or 4 months ago, or maybe even 5 or 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was a little while ago. My body and I eat very minimally now. I don't try to overeat. I'm not eating more than 3 meals a day. I'm not, I'm trying to dial back my snacking. I can comfortably hit a workout, miss a workout, just relaxing, enjoying life pretty much, not focusing too much on fitness, but thinking, all right, if I skip a day, it's not going to kill me. If I skip 2 days, 3 days in a week, it's not going to kill me. I'm not stressing on, I need to work out 6-7 days a week. I need to be fit. I need to be, putting in an hour and a half, 2-3 hours in the gym every day. And now I'm doing, 45 to an hour and a half at most, hour and a half workouts, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, however many times a week. But I'm not stressing on it. And my body's just naturally staying at around 210. And it's nice. And I'm not taking anything. I'm literally only taking protein shakes with creatine and occasionally carbs added.
You've made working out and that fitness lifestyle part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so it's not a chore. It's just who you are now.
Yeah, exactly. And I enjoy it. And every time I'm in the gym, I could be having the worst day ever. Just nothing's going my way. People are, being, difficult. And I can hit a workout. And those endorphins that get released just make the rest of that day, however long it'll be, so much better. Infinitely better. Not even comparable. And so on days that I feel bad, I work out. On days that, I skip, I don't feel the worst on anymore. And it's just, it makes working out a lot less stressful and not I gotta be in here for X amount of hours. I gotta, do this, that, and the other. I gotta, put on, 5 more pounds. I gotta put on 10 more pounds of this. I gotta do this, that, and the other. I go in leisurely and I go at it at a slower pace, and I'm talking like a retired bodybuilder, but right now, I'm less focused on it and more focused on current career paths and stuff.
I was going to say your training efforts are now turning to other avenues.
Yes.
Well, we have gone for an hour on bodybuilding, working out, and diet.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
And we never used the word swole,
Oh,
as far as I remember.
well, there you go. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. For a while, I wanted to, do some, see how far I could go, right? And I saw the effort that is required for me to get to 220 being 5'8", and just kind of a naturally wiry guy. Not too wiry, but just an average thin guy. It takes a lot of effort. You have to be 100% day in, day out thinking about bodybuilding. And right now, my life is not about that. I'm trying to and enjoyingly pursuing other avenues of life. And that's what is very important when you consider, fitness. It's, if you've got a goal, like let's say, someone's overweight and they want to lose weight, that's fine. That's mellow. You can, go at it at ideally a leisurely rate and slowly over time improve. If you're trying to get to be an athletic, status, professional status of working out or, a certain sport, then it becomes less enjoyable to an extent because it's work at that point. You're doing it not for the enjoyment of the workout per se. There might be that, amount there, that little bit of, it's enjoyable, but you're doing it for a purpose that is not 100% enjoyment. It's work. And I had to get away from that because it was just becoming too much of my life. And I might get back to it after.
If you had a purpose to it.
If I had a purpose to it, and if it corresponded with what I was doing for my career, and eventually it may very well be, but
It's true.
Right now I got to focus on other things. So hitting 4 workouts a week for, let's say, even a minimum of 45 minutes each. I still notice improvements. I still notice, strength gains. I'm still pushing real hard, when I'm in there, and I enjoy it 100%.
I think that's a very nice positive note to end tonight on. So, thank you for joining me tonight, Matt.
Yeah, no problem.
So, dear listener, thank you for joining us as well. Until next time, see you out there.